Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We just passed Fort Tihan, coming out of LA, and I had some more thoughts about Yogi Bhajan's yoga. Now, yesterday I saw that SikhNet and the Yogi Bhajan people are teaching a Khalsa youth camp in Yuba City. And I want to talk specifically to young Sikhs who may be attending this Khalsa youth camp there. Now, this Guru Jot Singh, who works as the creative director for SikhNet, will probably be teaching there. And I want to give a warning to all of you about this Yogi Bhajan Kundalini Yoga. First of all, the yoga is not what it seems to be. They'll tell you, oh, it's just harmless physical exercises and helps you do Simran. Well, this is bull. Don't listen to them. Yogi Bhajan's yoga is cult induction into his cult. I know. I was with his group for 30 years, and Yogi Bhajan would get us into such a state where we did all of these heavy exercises, heavy breathing, and we were so tired that we would listen to anything he said. And that is their strategy. Oh, you would also put in some of these gong sounds and all these different weird mantras that were giving adoration to Shiva and the Shakti. So don't listen to these Yogi Bhajan people when they tell you that yoga is just harmless. It's a way that a subtle way that they induct you into the cult. It'll be slowly. They'll get you doing more and more yoga, and they'll get you more into this Yogi Bhajan cult. Take it, like I said, take it from my experience. And if you don't believe me, read this book by Dr. Trilochan Singh. It's called Sikhism and Tantric Yoga. And Dr. Trilochan Singh spent several months with Yogi Bhajan back in 1977. And he traveled around with Yogi Bhajan. He met with many of the 3HO people back there in 1977. And he wrote this book. And it was a real eye-opener for me when I read it. I can tell you that that book was completely hidden from us in 3HO. Yogi Bhajan hid the book. It was never talked about. And even though it was written by a Sikh scholar and historian, Dr. Trilochan Singh, who is very well respected and admired by Sikhs from the Punjab and traditional Sikhs, Yogi Bhajan hid this information. And in fact, when I approached BBG, or actually she approached me when I got back from India in 2009, she had learned that I put Dr. Trilochan Singh's book on the internet. She told me, and this is a direct quote, she said, "Why make a mess? You shouldn't put that book on the internet." We all knew about that book, she said. But I said, I didn't know about the book. Nobody told me about that book. And I said that the truth needs to be known about Yogi Bhajan, about these Kundalini Yogas. And she has never talked to me since. That's BBG Indrajit Kaur Puri. That's Yogi Bhajan's wife. And that was in Albuquerque in 2010, actually, when she talked to me about after I put this book on the internet. So, again, don't be fooled by these Yogi Bhajan people if they just say this yoga is harmless that they're trying to teach at these Khalsa youth camp. Really ask them, say, what is involved in this? Why are you having us do this? And if, like I said, if they respond saying, oh, it helps you do Simran in the future, you can do exercises and you can do walking, running, anything if you want to get exercise. You don't have to do these salutations to the Hindu god Shiva, and that's what it is basically. You're giving salutations to this Hindu god Shiva, who's the Lord of Yoga, according to the Hindus. The Hindus say that Hinduism is yoga and yoga is Hinduism. It's all part and parcel with this. And it's a whole strategy of Yogi Bhajan to subsume Sikhi into his form of Hinduism and his form of Bhajanism, as we'll call it. He has all of these supposedly secret mantras that he gives the 3HO people, or he gave the 3HO people, including myself. And we were very susceptible to this cult induction, like I said, because we wanted to believe in these magical mantras and these things that were man-made by Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan made up this whole story and rigmarole lineage about how he was the only Mahan Tantric, and that this secret information was brought down through the secret gurus, and Guru Ram Das came to him in some vision and told him that he was to bring this secret yoga that had been passed on to him. And he's supposed to bring this to the West and teach this to all these Westerners, and to give this secret information to the Western people. So what this yoga does is it creates an arrogance in people. It creates an egomaniac attitude that they have. You can see it. You can witness these things in the 3HOers. The 3HO people are greedy. They're always asking for donations. They use the images of Dabar Sahib and Gurbani in their selling of these. They call them Waheguru chews as candy. Just for profit. They use them in their yogi tea. It's really sacrilegious. They use the Dabar Sahib images and their desire to make money. They also, this Guru Jodhkar, who's supposed to be the Secretary General of Yogi Bhajan's Sikh Dharma International, she's involved also with the marketing of different yogic artifacts and yogic wear. And they just recently, I saw that they had this Ganesha t-shirt that they're selling, and they advertise it as Ganesha, the remover of all obstacles. And so these things that Yogi Bhajan taught were basically greedy to supply money to him, to supply money to these people who follow. These people are dependent on people paying for Kundalini Yoga. They're dependent on their income. All these people like Guru Jot and Gurmustik and Guruka, they're dependent on Sikhs donating their money to support them. They're dependent on yoga students paying to do yoga and buying all of these gimmicks. All this astrology they sell spiritual names. It's just outrageous and totally sacrilegious and against Sikh teachings. On 3HO website, you can look at their website and you'll see that they sell spiritual names, they call them. And they're Sikh names, and they, according to them, they pick them out using Yogi Bhajan's numerology and astrology. So not only do they sell the names, they use astrology, which is against the Sikh Rahat, and they use that to pick these spiritual names and they make people think that there's something really special with these names that they pick out for you. So again, don't let them fool you. There's much more behind what they're teaching than just some harmless exercises. I also want to say that I noticed that this Hari Jivan, who is Yogi Bhajan's chief of protocol, he writes these letters all the time, and I just noticed one of his letters where he's talking about Yogi Bhajan, talking about death and dying, and how it's so important to pick the right spiritual teacher and to have the right teacher. He's talking about Yogi Bhajan being the right teacher. In fact, he says in the letter that Yogi Bhajan is the right teacher, and this student picked him correctly. Well, I have to say that the Yogi Bhajan people are gambling on a customs officer who had no credentials, he had no background, no lineage, other than the fact that he was just a clever businessman. And he may have been, granted, he may have been humorous like some circus clown, and appealing in that regard, but he had no legitimacy or credibility to his name, really. And so he was very clever. He came to the United States, and he put on these long robes and big jewels. It made himself look like he was some powerful yogi. and had control over the physical and the spiritual realms and things like that. And he basically fooled people. He defrauded all of us young Westerners. And now the people that are part of SikhNet and there's all these Yogi Bhajan organizations, they're doing the same thing, trying to fool Sikhs and other yoga students into thinking that their Kundalini Yoga and these tantric yogas are part of a long lineage of Sikh tradition, which is completely false. The Sikhs never did yoga, they never taught it, and you think about it, they never taught yoga for a reason. There was a definite reason why they didn't teach yoga, and if they would have, if there would have been a necessity for yoga, they would have taught it. But instead, they taught that devotional service and devotional dedication to God, one God, is all you need. All you need to do is recite your Bani, and all you need to do is worship God, the one true God. This is all that a Sikh needs, and you don't need any of these yogas. We don't need to waste our time with them. And in fact, like I said, I think the yoga is dangerous. It takes you away from belief in the dedication to one God. It gets you into all of these weird things, these strange Shakti Shiva things. So think about it, that when you get involved in this yoga, you're taking your time, your attention, your energy away from worship of one God, and you're putting your bet on a customs officer, this Yogi Bhajan, who got no kind of credentials at all. So you should really look at the odds, I guess you'd say, and really rather than take a gamble on this Yogi Bhajan guy and taking a risk. It's a huge risk. If you're taking your thinking about your salvation for eternity, why put your risk? Why put a gamble in a customs officer who may or may not be correct? Put your energy, your life into practicing Orthodox Sikhi, which has a long track record and a long history of worship in one God. Practice Gurbani, recite the prayers of the Sikhs, the traditional Sikhs, and don't mess around anything with this Yogi Bhajan stuff. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. Rather than get into this, follow the true Sikh path. Okay, we just came down the grapevine, and I'll be back in Yuba City in a few hours. Thank you for your time. Khalsa,